Attention Austin musicians and music industry professionals. Are you having a difficult time navigating these tricky waters? Well, the Austin Music Foundation is here to help you. The Austin Music Foundation is a nonprofit dedicated to strengthening and connecting the local music community with innovative programs that empower musicians, music industry professionals, and music businesses within Austin's creative economy. With expert panels, consultations, mentoring, and mixers, AMF's programs provide the necessary tools and opportunities to help the Austin music industry succeed. Now look, ever since COVID took over last year, everything's moved online. The consultations are online. They're at no cost to the artist or to the music industry professional. Just go to austinmusicfoundation.org. That's austinmusicfoundation.org to find out how they can help you. Austin Music Foundation is here to help. Hey gang, do you find yourself listening to your music on one app and then listening to your podcast on another app? If you do, stop this insane behavior right now and download Spotify. Spotify is home to all of your favorite music and all of your favorite podcasts. Podcasts including Fly on the Wall, the Saturday Night Live podcast with Dana Carvey and David Spade, the Rock on Tours podcast with Gary Kemp and Guy Pratt, old favorites like Fresh Air, My Favorite Murder, Wait, Wait, Don't Tell Me. Look, if you're looking for a news podcast or sports or entertainment or true crime, look, if you're looking for a sewing podcast or an RV podcast, Spotify has all of this for you. That's Spotify. All of your favorite music and all of your favorite podcasts in one place. Find it in your app store and start listening today. That's Spotify, music and podcasts. Let's get down.
And you may ask yourself, well, how did I get here?
It's time for How Did I Get Here? And now here is your host,
All right, hello, I'm Johnny. I'm your host. Welcome to the show. I hope you guys have all had a good Thanksgiving weekend. Whatever it is you did, and I hope you got home safe and sound. I had a really good Thanksgiving weekend. Rosie and I had a mellow Thanksgiving. You heard about that on the intro on Friday. Then Saturday, Skyrocket played in San Antonio at Sam's. That was a really good time. And then Sunday, I went to that Eddie Hernandez benefit out at the Rail House in Kyle, Texas. I had a really good time. I saw so many people I haven't seen in so long. It was really, really, really fun. I can't even begin to tell you. Honestly, I got to see some great performances. I got to see Ray Prim after not seeing him play for a couple of years. That was great. It was like a stripped down, kind of like almost like a rock set with like a drummer and bass player and him. And a guitar player that was absolutely fantastic as well. I saw Dave Scher, absolutely fantastic dude. Brandon Temple was playing drums. Stupid Drama, great set. I saw a little bit of Tom Meany as I was walking through the parking lot. I thought I was going to get to see more of Tom Meany. As I was walking through there, I heard him playing and I was like, I thought he wasn't playing for another like 45 minutes. I turned the corner, he's putting his guitar in his case, he was done. But he sounded great in the parking lot. He really did. It was great seeing a lot of old friends, Greg and even Destiny, the people that used to own One to One Bar, they were there. A lot of music people were there, people I haven't seen in a long time. Carrie Hudson, Hunter St. Marie. I always love talking to that dude, man. We always just talk about music and just like geek out when we chat. Always great. Hey, gang, listen, this show is dropping on Tuesday, November 29th, but today is Giving Tuesday. Giving Tuesday is a Tuesday where people go out and they give to their favorite nonprofit. Now think about it. For the last couple of years, nonprofits have taken a big hit, man. Since 2020, nonprofits have been struggling along. There's a lot of great nonprofits to give to, but I'm going to tell you one that I've been involved with for several years that I really believe in and could really use everyone's help that is out there willing to give. Okay? I work with the Austin Music Foundation. The Austin Music Foundation is a nonprofit art service organization dedicated to supporting independent artists and music professionals at all stages of their career. Austin Music Foundation serves as a critical bridge to economic opportunity and career sustainability for Austin's creative class. Now, I just read that from the thing because I wanted to make sure I got all of the points in. Now, working with them has been a really great thing. I've gotten to mentor a lot of great musicians through the artist development program, which I helped start with my friend Einar Peterson and Alex Vallejo and Jenny Dugas. all the gang, Kate Priestley, all these wonderful people over at Austin Music Foundation. We started this thing where we take, 5 to 7 bands every year, and we basically put them through an educational process where they learn their business, and from like soup to nuts, like from songwriting. Like today I have an artist coming over that's in our 6th year, which is, we're in the middle of that right now. She's coming over today to work on one of her songs a little bit later with me. So we work on the songs. We go into the studio over at the Bubble with Frenchie Smith and Einar Peterson, and we record 2 songs in 2 days. Very, very exciting. It's very boot campy. Anyway, the Austin Music Foundation also holds all kinds of panels, mixers, has all kinds of events, speakers that come and like educate all the time. Go to austinmusicfoundation.org to find out. All of these services are free to the community. So if you want to go there, if you want to they also provide consultations, free consultations. You can sign up for free. Go to austinmusicfoundation.org, read about it, sign up for a consultation if you want to get involved with the music community a little bit more. If you're a musician, you want to find out how to get into the clubs, how to get your music heard, all that kind of stuff. We're here to help. austinmusicfoundation.org. Also been serving the community for 20 years. We were supposed to have a giant, exciting ball this year, but that was thwarted by the surge of Omicron back in the spring, and it kind of made it difficult for us to jump back in and set that up. But Austin Music Foundation has been serving this community free of charge for over 20 years. For 20 years, since 2002, been out there helping thousands and thousands and thousands of artists, music business professionals, and all kinds of people. AustinMusicFoundation.org. Go there, get involved. I really believe in it. Today's Giving Tuesday. Donate. There's a donate button. It's green on the top right corner. If you want to get a consultation, that's up there too. AustinMusicFoundation.org. Get involved. Gang, I have an amazing show for you today. Quiet Company frontman Taylor Muse returns to the show today. I think this is like his 6th or 7th time on the show. He was on episode 20 back in October of 2011. That's where I met him. I didn't know him before that. My good friend Jim Barkley in Houston, Texas, who's a huge music fan, he's a huge Quiet Company fan. And when they released their record, We Are All Where We Belong, and I had already started the podcast, he reached out to me and said, like, go listen to this album, We Are All Where We Belong. Reach out to this guy, Taylor Muse, and ask him to be on your podcast. This is going to be fucking great. So I went and listened to the album. It blew my mind. I mean, I was totally freaking out. I was listening to their music all the time. I reached out to him, and you'll hear in the story, Taylor kind of gave me a blow-off interview. He was like, sure, I'll meet you during my lunch break, and we'll meet at this Wings place. I can't remember the name of the place. Weirdos, I think was the name of the Wings place. But I was totally happy to go meet him there. So we went and met there, and I talked to him. And then we've ended up becoming friends. We've been friends for, I guess, now 11 years. He's been on the show a bunch of times. We've hung out a few times together. And I really, really, really like him. I think he is an amazing songwriter. I think he has tremendous vision. I think Quiet Company and their musical arrangements throughout the entire thing has just been mind-blowing and very adventurous and very, very, very great. All right? The sad news is that Quiet Company's calling it a day. They're playing their farewell show on this Saturday, December 3rd, here in Austin, Texas, at the Mohawk. It's a pretty sad story. I mean, seeing them go. Sadly, I won't be able to go. Skyrocket has a private show that night, so I'm missing the final farewell of Quiet Company. I've seen them quite a few times, and they're an amazing fucking band. Their farewell show this Saturday at the Mohawk, December 3rd, with their old friends, the Rocket Boys. You can go to quietcompanymusic.com, find out how to get tickets for that. Anyway, back to the story. Quiet Company has been around for a long time, over 15 years, making music, putting out records, from their first record, Shine Honesty, in 2006, to their last EP, Your Husband the Ghost, in 2017. And I know they've released some EPs since then and stuff, and singles. Taylor's been on the show, as I said, many, many times, and we talked about having him on to talk about the end of Quiet Company and what the experience has meant to him. And we go deep, man. This is like... Quiet Company's been a family. There've been, some people that have come and gone through the band and everything, but it's been a family. And Taylor realized throughout the course of this entire band and how it came kind of not easier, but it was it made a little more sense to say goodbye to Quiet Company. Because when he was looking back on the history of the band, he realized that it was a band that sort of reflected and told the story of his relationship with his former wife. And Like it starts at the beginning of their relationship and then they go through a divorce and now here they are. Quiet Company. He told that story. He's moving on to new stuff. He's got a new band called French Hips. I got to hear a tune from it. It's fucking great. He's great. He's a great songwriter. Whatever he's going to do is going to be great. It's sad to see a band like Quiet Company go. But it's really interesting to listen to their rich history, man. I mean, they've been playing for fucking years. They did a lot of really great stuff. They played on Austin City Limits. I mean, that in itself is huge. Coldplay plays on there. You know what I mean? I mean, it's awesome. Awesome band, awesome musician, awesome songwriter. I've always been a fan of his and I love him as a person. Taylor Muse is my very good friend and I'm very, very, very proud to bring you our conversation talking about the end of Quiet Company and their farewell show this Saturday, December 3rd at the Mohawk here in Austin with the Rocket Boys, all right? Please enjoy my conversation with my friend Taylor Muse. Let's get down.
Love, won't you stay with me till the boatman comes for me and he kinda carries me across the sea, and may our legends live to tell how we burned down heaven.
Yeah, I got one. Mary Claire was starting. She is doing it, Lady Heartwing.
Yeah.
I think. And there was a moment where she was going to do like a show and she wanted to do a full band. And so it was just kind of all of us that had been hanging out. Like her husband, Kyle, was playing guitar.
He's awesome.
Yeah,
I love that
Kyle.
dude.
Yeah, he's one of my best friends.
Oh, really?
And they both are. Like they became, we were like buddies before pandemic.
Yeah.
And then during quarantine, we just, like we were in, they were like my pod because they live up north close to me. And so I feel like they're like, two of my best friends now. So, but yeah, she was wanting to do like a full band thing for this show she was doing. And so I bought that Synth 9 pedal.
Yeah, that one's cool too.
Yeah, it's very cool. And Kyle bought the mono version of it.
Oh yeah.
And so we were both just playing guitar as synths mostly, but then but the person I bought that synth 9 also had the Mel 9.
Yeah.
So I was like, Bill's like, hey, dude, you want me to grab this for you and we can use it in Quiet Company, And so he's like, yeah, that'd be awesome, but we've yet to use it.
You have one chance left.
We have one chance left. Yeah, one more chance to see that Mel 9 happen.
What makes you decide that this is? I've done it a few times. I just wonder because I actually was like, oh, well, that sucks.
Yeah, I mean, I think like before COVID hit, we were this like very well-oiled machine. Like we had, just in terms of our routine. Like we were playing shows really regularly. We had weekly practice. We just had like our stuff, going on. And then obviously COVID was like really disruptive to that, and I didn't see those guys for months on end. And I was really like that first, long stretch of quarantine was like really productive for me.
I was going through your Facebook this morning, and I saw that.
Yeah, I was. Yeah. I wrote and recorded and sent the guys like 50 demos during that time, and like nobody said anything about them, Which
like nobody responded.
Nobody
to
responded.
The email? Oh fuck! I hate that.
Like there'd be every once in a while, Bill or Jeff would kind of be like, "Oh, that's cool," or whatever. But then I kind of just realized, like, by the time we actually got back together and started like talking about it, it was just like, oh, like nobody even knew that I had kept sending these. Like it had just totally been off everyone's radar. I think everyone was just in like survival
panic
mode,
of
taking care of their own stuff, taking care of, whatever was right in front of them, getting through COVID, because it was really stressful for everyone. And so I'm not like mad about it or hurt anymore. I get it. It was a little bit of I was like, oh, really? I feel like I'm writing these songs I'm really proud of and like really excited about, and then no one says anything. So you're like, do they hate my songs now? Like, are all my songs bad? Because I don't know how you are. Like, I live with a certain level of imposter syndrome, you know?
Totally.
And so for Quiet Company to have done, you know, as well as we've done, it was always like, I always felt like I'm going to be exposed any moment that I'm not actually like authentic or good or, you know, deserving of any kind of accolade or whatever. So yeah, when they don't respond to it, it's kind of like, oh, they're on to me now. Like I've been exposed. Like I've worn out my welcome with my own band. Like no one likes my songs anymore. So that was, you know, and like I said, that wasn't really what was happening. No. It was just like, once we actually did start talking about doing the record, everyone was really excited about doing the record. But I also wanted to do the record really differently. And I wanted to do it very drums and bass forward and really minimize guitars and stuff. And so that wasn't as exciting to a band with 3 guitarists, you know, as it probably. So once we were kind of trying to get back in shape, you know, we're trying to get back in our routine and practice and stuff, man, it just felt like it was like herding cats, like more than ever had been. You know, Trevor, our bass player, quit at the end of the year, and so we replaced him with a guy that we really love, and but it was just kind of like, it was just hard to get back.
Yeah, no, I know that.
You know?
Yeah.
And then once we started trying to like make the record, it just kind of felt like I kind of realized I had like 2 choices or 3 choices. I could drag them kicking and screaming, you know, into my vision in the hopes that everyone thanks me later.
Right.
You know, or I can give up on the vision that I have for it and make another record kind of how we've always made records, and it'll probably sound good, but it'll be just kind of the same records we've made before. And that would be fun, you know, that'd be easy and that'd be fun, but it wouldn't be like progress as an artist.
Sure.
Or I could just kind of realize that I think that I've gone as far as I can go here.
Right.
And maybe it's just time to do something new. And maybe it just kind of took us a while to realize that we're just another band that didn't survive COVID either, you know, like, cause it just took us a little longer to realize it, you know? I weirdly, you know, ever since we kind of decided that's what was happening, we've been very productive. Everyone's attitudes are great. Like, we're all getting along really well. I mean, we never didn't get along, but like, it's just kind of like, you know, practices are coming a lot easier. You know, it's like, I think enough to make me kind of go like, did I jump the gun on this? Like, should I have whatever? You know?
I know what you mean.
Yeah.
But also do you remember the sense of relief when you crossed that sort of like a Quiet Company? Like it doesn't have to be. It
doesn't have to exist. Yeah. Like,
and like, I know this, I remember the couple of moments where I had that with different bands I had where I was just like, no one's happy. Like, it's just,
everything is temporary, man.
Yeah.
I remember, I don't know if I've ever told you about the time I went to lunch with Will Johnson. You know Will Johnson?
From Centromatic?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love Will Johnson.
Me too. He's a big inspiration to you, isn't he?
Yeah. I mean, I've been a big fan since I was in high school, you know, and then we were both guest performers on this Toady show at the Moody Theater several years back, you know, and I was just pumped because I was like, I'm gonna get to meet Will Johnson. Like, I've never met him before, you know?
Right.
And, you know, they always say, don't meet your heroes, you know?
Right.
And I've had really good experiences meeting my heroes, and I've had really terrible experiences meeting my heroes. But Will Johnson is the kindest man in all of rock and roll, I think. And he ended up being like a really, really nice, supportive guy. And Quiet Company at that time was like not a happy place to be. It was just really stressful.
What album was Transgressor or before that?
I think this was before Transgressor. Yeah, I think it was before, but not very long before. And I just we went to lunch like a couple days after that, and we went down to a 24 diner, and I think what I really wanted was like a pep talk. I wanted to like tell Will Johnson that being in a rock band is hard, and I wanted him to go, "You're too good, man. You can't quit. It's too important," you know? And I felt like I had this relationship with rock and roll. It was a little bit like an abusive boyfriend, you know, that was just constant. You need me. You can't ever quit me. No one will love you like I love you, you know, and where it's like just very toxic. That's how I felt. So I'm like, you know, I'm like laying out all these like frustrating, you know, things to Will Johnson, who barely knows me and has infinite patience, clearly. But at one point I said to him, I was like, "Do you think you could ever quit music?" Yeah. And this is where I was expecting him to go like, "No, what we do is sacred," you know, or some shit. Yeah. And he's like, "Oh yeah, tomorrow. I quit tomorrow." He's like, "I don't care. Like, I made more money painting last year than I did on music. It's not that important. You know, I'd find some other thing to do that would be like whatever." And that took me back like so much.
Like, there's no Santa Claus, Taylor.
Yeah.
There's no Santa Claus, buddy.
I know. But yeah, so it just made me kind of go like, wow, you know, like, and Will's done a lot. You know, he's had a great career. He's kind of everywhere. Everyone knows him. Everyone respects him. He's made records that I think are like actually important, you know? Yeah. And so if he can feel that way about it, like nobody needs Taylor fucking Muse, you know, like, and just having that little bit of distance, like where I kind of realized was like, oh, you know, I don't have to do this. Right. I think it gave me enough space to kind of reevaluate and be like, am I doing this because I feel like I can't do something else, or because I want to do this, you know? Right. And that was the beginning of like kind of developing a healthier relationship, I think, with all of this, was being able to say like, no, I want to. I love this. Yeah. You know, I love doing this, so I'm going to keep doing it. And then when I don't love it, I'm going to not do it. Yeah. And do something else. That's
the difficult, because usually when we fall in love with this stuff, we're in like the most our mind is in its most romantic phase. Usually you're in your teens and you're just like, this is it, man. Everything. Yeah. And then it becomes a really unhealthy relationship after a while.
It really can.
You get no therapy together. Yeah. It abuses the shit out of you. You abuse the shit out of it. Yeah. You use it sometimes.
You use it to justify all manner of sin.
And then if it turns into a thing where it's your income, then there's this just fucking horrible resentment. There's nothing worse than like not wanting to go to a gig. That is a fucking awful feeling.
Yeah. To feel like, like
you have to go.
You're controlled by it. Like, I have to go do this. I don't get to go do it. I have to go do it. Yeah. Yeah, that is how a lot of Quiet Company's career felt. You know, because we went full time, you know, back in like 2012, and we were basically just doing music for 2 or 3 years there. And, you know, we were able to do it, which, you know, not a lot of bands really in the grand pantheon of all bands, like a very small percentage of people.
Oh, and now, especially after the 90s.
Oh, yeah.
Like, fuck.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Nothing gets better, you know, right? Yeah. Like, so it's so rare to get to do that for any amount of time. And I'm glad that we got to, but yeah, it did create this level of like, you never felt like you could say no. Right. That was kind of my experience. Like, I only want to do things that are cool or fun or worthwhile in some way, you know? And you started feeling like, oh, well, we have this opportunity, and it's really not something that we want to do or be seen doing, or feels like it's worthwhile artistically or creatively.
Right.
But it's some money, and we need some money because it's like kind of all that's available right now.
Right.
And so we can't say no to anything,
right?
Because we're just starving all the time.
Yeah.
It's a total.
It's like having a partner that verbally abuses you and then gives you money to go, shopping and do stuff that you wouldn't be able to do.
Yeah. So that I won't miss.
Well, man.
But I forget what your original question was. What made me kind of realize I was done? I think I've been feeling for a while. Like, I don't, honestly, I felt this way a few releases ago, where I kind of thought, like, have I kind of done all I can do creatively here? Like, in the context of this moniker and with these guys and whatever. And just ultimately decided, nah, just keep going.
But that happens to all bands. Like, if you look at the bands that went the distance, like, go watch that fucking Metallica documentary.
Some Kind of Monster?
Yeah.
Yeah. I watched that not long ago, actually.
And they're still together.
Yeah.
It's like a marriage. You either get divorced or you don't.
Yeah. And
it's going to get better.
And I think everyone should get divorced. Big fan.
Even if you're not married.
Even if you're not married, just go get divorced.
Let's do this now.
No, like, man, life is short, as long as it feels. So I just kind of feel like, I don't know. Everything's temporary.
A lot of your life is in the records of this band. Like, that's one thing is like walking away from that is like walking away from this.
Actually, that's kind of one of the things that made me feel the best about my decision is I was talking to my partner, Anastasia, and she said something that I thought was just, I was like, when she said it, I was like, oh my God, like that's totally true. She said, I feel like Quiet Company is the story of Taylor and Leia, which is my ex-wife.
So I bet she's glad it's over.
Probably, yeah. But I was like, yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
It's like Shine Honesty came out. I was about to get married,
That's what I'm saying is like,
it's very autobiographical. I've never really written from anyone else's point of view. Like,
all your shit's really autobiographical.
Yeah. So
like
it's
painfully.
And it's going to continue to be, but it's just like, I feel like in a way, it does feel like a lot of Quiet Company's narrative is very tied up in that story. It's marriage, having the kid, going through like a lot of stuff together, and then ending. Yeah. And it's like, you said something about therapy earlier, like our music is therapy or whatever. And I don't know if you've ever said this. I certainly have. But I used to say, oh, I don't go to therapy. The stage is my therapy. Or the band is my therapy and all this stuff.
Yeah, I said that before. Like, my life fell apart and I started going to therapy.
It's not therapy. You should go to therapy.
Yeah, you should still go to therapy. And it doesn't take your edge away.
No.
No. You know what? I have, and I don't think I have. I believe there's probably times where I needed them, but I toughed it out. And there's like very few ways that I'm a macho Hispanic male. Mm-hmm. But when I had a therapist that was like, hey, you take antidepressants. Mm-hmm. And I was like, no way. She's like, dude, it would really help you. And I was like, they don't make your dick they make your dick not get hard. And I'm sorry, but I'm a Gowdy and an Antonetti. And the old man fathered his last kid when he was 97 years old. Wow. So that's my lineage. I'm not taking something that's going to work against it. That's the truth. I did say that. And she was just like, whoa. Easy there, Scarface.
She's like, well, if that happens, you can stop taking that.
That's true. It's true.
Like,
I just was like, I don't, and also
might not be a side effect for you at all. Like, you can stop taking it.
Yeah.
It's like I took the pill and my dick just fell off. And, like, couldn't get it back on. Wish I hadn't done that. Now I'm depressed and I don't have a dick.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know. It's. Yeah. I've had talked to a lot of people who kind of felt like they didn't want to get medicated because they thought it would take their creative edge off, or just their lust for life away or whatever. And I think, for a lot of people, when it's not the right med, then obviously that does happen. Right. But like, I'm not medicated right now. I
don't think there's anything wrong with it. Just, I meant me.
Yeah,
good
I
stuff.
no, I got diagnosed with ADHD last year, and it was that was kind of one of those weird things where you're like, oh wait, like I'm this old and I'm kind of realizing first, I'm like, you're telling me you guys' brains don't work this way? And they're like, no, everyone else is normal. Like, oh, that makes so much sense. I just thought we were all like this, you know?
Yeah.
And, but I've tried a handful of meds for it, and I ultimately just decided I'm better off not medicated.
Yeah.
Like, I made it this far, and all the meds really do for me. I mean, there's others to try, and I might try others, but like for me personally, like it just kind of makes me feel like I'm gonna have a panic attack.
Yeah.
Which is kind of, I'm already pretty high strung. I don't need the
Yeah.
help, you know. So I've kind of ultimately decided like I'll just be a little bit scattered.
Yeah.
You know, I'll make more lists or something. Like, I'll do something. I'd rather not have a panic attack. So that's where I'm at with that.
Hey, so in the intro, I'll definitely talk about the show, but let's just say this. You're doing a farewell show December 3rd at the Mohawk with the Rocket Boys.
Yeah, Rocket Boys and Ramdell.
I've always thought of you guys as a sibling band.
Yeah, we very much
Sibling
are.
band, yeah.
See, I always think about bands in terms of like graduating classes.
Oh, yeah, me too.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I kind of think like our graduating class was...
What do you think of me as like the weird guy that's like, all right.
Come back
like
and hanging out. You're the Matthew McConaughey of our scene. No, like Rocket Boys are kind of the only band other than us out of that crew and they're not really that together anymore. I mean, I
thought they had gone by the wayside.
They never broke up technically, but they haven't played a show in 4 years.
Right.
You know, they've all kind of gone out. Brandon moved away. He's moved back now. But like, you know, it's like they just haven't been together. It hadn't been a priority. They actually kind of, when I asked them about doing this show, they were like, I think it'll probably be our farewell show too. I'm like, it can't be your farewell show. You do your farewell show later and we'll get together and play that for you. But this can't be your farewell show too. Like, God damn it, I want my moment, you know? But yeah, they very much are our oldest band friends. Like it was us and them and the New Frontiers and Gazelles up out of Dallas area. Ethan Durrell, I feel like, was around, you know, all those bands we used to play with like all the time. And
You came up with.
yeah, and none of them are together anymore. You know, we're like the one band that was dumb enough to keep going or whatever. But, you know, here we are 20 years. You know?
You saying that about having your moment, I think that's really important too. And I don't think enough, like there's so much unceremonious breaking up and no fun breaking up. And instead of like looking, like your band has had such like, you know, going through that stuff for the last few days has just really...
Yeah, if it was like
you guys did Austin City Limits.
Yeah.
Like, Jesus.
If it was a bad breakup, you know, if we were all mad at each other, you know, and it wasn't fun to be around each other, okay, that's one thing. But we all legitimately really love each other, you know, like some of us have projects going forward together, you know, so it's just like there's no bad blood here. It's just kind of, I mean, I realized I wrote and recorded the first demos on my 4-track that went onto the first Quiet Company record 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Like a full 20. That's half of my life.
Yeah.
And so it's like, yeah, I just kind of want to have at least one more party together to honor that, you know? And getting the Rocket Boys back to come do it, you know, our oldest friends, you know, that we toured with and partied with, you know. I think there's one other band that we've toured with more. It was the Kickback out of Chicago. But like, and then, you know, my buddy Ramvella and his band Easy Targets are some of my best friends.
Yeah.
And that band hasn't been around forever, but Ram has been around. Like, he was in Whitman, and they were one of the bands that we played with a lot early on in Austin. I think he's, you know, a great songwriter and stuff. So, yeah, it's just going to be a good... Hopefully it'll be a really good, fun night. Hopefully I'm not like weeping on stage and regretting all my decisions, but we'll see.
Did you guys plan a party for afterwards?
No, we should though.
It's hard to get going for like the idea of an after party. Like once you get to 40 is like, are you kidding me? Like,
Yeah.
what? I already did the thing. Like, what? I have to go
Right.
do another thing?
Well, I feel like we probably should do something, man, because like we've got a lot of people that are like
Yeah.
buying plane tickets and
Oh, yeah.
flying in from all
Dude,
over.
That's
for
the thing
it,
is
you know?
like, there's like, there's that weird thing where like you're having your experience with your band. It's your thing and you feel like you're ready to grow and move on to another thing. But there's dudes with your words tattooed on their arms out there.
Yeah, a lot of
You
them.
know what I mean? Like
way more than I would think.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's
and-
heavy.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's like I want one night to make me feel like this mattered, you know? Because
It did,
there's-
though.
Because there's so
So-
many moments. I'm sure you know how it feels. Like there's so many moments where you go, does any of this matter?
Yeah.
Was any of this worth all of the frustration and the heartbreak and the work and the blood and the sweat and the tears, the yada yada yada? A lot of times you feel like probably not.
Yeah.
You know, and I think in a town like Austin, it is really easy to feel like if you're not constantly in front of people's face, there's so much going on that you just kind of really quickly feel irrelevant or forgotten or whatever, even if, you know,
that's
you've
just
been-
show business though.
Yeah, probably. But I feel like in a town where it's like this is part of our culture,
Yeah.
you know, that relevance matters more.
Yeah.
You know, like, and especially once you kind of feel like you've earned a little bit of it.
Yeah.
Then you feel like, well, maybe I'm an imposter. And then,
Yeah, yeah.
and if you're not constantly like doing something, it's
Right.
very much the game of what have you done for us lately?
Right.
And when you feel like, well, maybe it's time to wrap it up or whatever, or move on to the next, not end it, but move on to the next chapter. You kind of want it. I want something to kind of commemorate the occasion.
Of course.
So
Yeah. Yeah, you don't want to. I was in this band, Mr. Rocket Baby, and that was like the just ugly.
Ugly breakup, or the guys were ugly.
It was a little of both. No, it was a cute band. It was the breakup was ugly.
Yeah.
It was like at a manager's office, and one guy went in and said a thing, and then I was like, "What?" And I went in, like, "Well, I'm not leaving this band," was what the guy told me, and I was like, "Oh, I am later."
Yeah.
And that it was just ugly. It wasn't. I mean, we still like
Yeah.
we did a reunion, and it was ugly.
Oh.
I
So
know.
why'd
I
you
thought
do
it was
the
gonna be-
reunion?
because I thought it was going to be a chance for us to
Like-
do that thing.
Right.
Because here's this band that lived in a van for 2 years and
Right.
really did a lot of cool shit
Yeah.
and really almost crossed a lot of lines, but just imploded in that van, you know?
Yeah.
I thought that we were friends. You know what I mean? It's
Nothing's
one of
more
those things where-
disappointing
yeah.
to find out that you're not.
No, and that's like
Yeah.
one of my, it's a lesson I never stop learning in this fucking business.
I mean, you know, Quiet Company, we did the math, and if you just count people who have like just like even filled in or gone like done
Right.
one tour or whatever, or just played a show, if that's enough, we've had 18 drummers. You know, it's a lot of drummers, and I can only think of, and you know, we've had
Is that because
3 or 4 bass players.
Is that because you're a drummer and you? As I think you're a really good drummer.
Oh, thanks, man.
And that's just from seeing your videos.
I try. I'm a very simple angry Ringo is kind of what I aim at. But
Literally the coolest thing. Like that's what you should put in your ad.
it is what I put in my.
It is. Angry Ringo.
Yeah. But I've actually been trying to find some drum gigs lately, but every time I kind of someone answers it or whatever, and it is kind of a cool project, I feel like it's just bad luck, man. It's always falling when like I've got like 10 million other things happening. I'm like, well, I want to come meet you, but can we meet in 3 weeks? You know, and you know, people move on pretty quickly on that stuff. But anyway, I don't remember what we were talking
That's
about.
a thing I want to ask you. Was in Quiet Company when you guys started, were people in other bands, or was it just like that? Because that's a thing I've noticed just isn't really a thing anymore. Everyone's in like 65 different things.
Yeah, no. Our band has never really been. We are more that way right now than we have ever been.
Okay.
And like before pandemic, I was in 3 bands.
Yeah.
And it was the happiest I think I'd ever been. And I was
Weren't you playing bass in some band?
Well, I played bass for Blaxploitation for a little bit.
Oh, right.
But that was kind of more of like a per show, hey, do you want me for this one?
Right.
You know, whatever. Just because me and Jonathan were buds, and so it was like we were hanging out a lot, and so I just get in where you can fit in kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I was playing drums for this band called Quadraphonic, which was a bunch of buddies from high school, and I was playing guitar for this band called Color Candy that kind of imploded right there at the beginning of quarantine. You know, like we played one show, it was their album release, and then never got together again because like the 2 main people kind of like had this weird relationship and it imploded.
Wait, who were those people? Were they in this? They were on my show.
Mary Palmer was the singer.
Yeah.
And Kevin was the bass player, and they were like writing partners, and their relationship had more nuance than I ever really understood.
Right.
And didn't want to pry. So, but it didn't go well. And I think they're both, you know, I enjoyed playing with both of them.
Yeah.
So I don't really know what happened there, but it wasn't great. And, you know, yeah, I mean, I still talk to Mary quite a bit, but like, don't see Kevin that much. And anyway, oh yeah, now I remember what we're talking about. We're talking about bad breakups or whatever. And I said we had 18 drummers, like 4 or 5 bass players, you know.
And I was wondering if that's because you.
Yeah, but I was
Angry Ringo.
What I was going to say is like, I can only think of like 2 or 3 where it was like bad, where it's like, fuck you, get out.
Right.
You know, I'm still friends and on good speaking terms with probably 15 of them, you know?
Yeah.
Which I think that number's pretty good.
That's really good. That's a great.
I think that's good numbers.
Yeah, that's great numbers.
I think I am hard on drummers though. And it's not that I'm like a great drummer. It's not like I'm Dave Grohl and they're Taylor Hawkins and it's just hard to be in a band with me because I'm great too.
Yeah.
I know I cannot play the drums for Quiet Company. Like
no, but there is that thing where you have an idea of how something needs to go and somebody wants to do their own thing and you're like, no, it won't feel the same.
Drums are, I think when I listen to a record, I think drums are the number one thing that I look at production wise.
Really?
Like, and in terms of like whether or not a band is cool, I think these days and maybe always, like, I think drums has always been like the thing that can make or break the production of a record to me. I used to say guitar was number one, but now that I think about it, I'm like, but I listen to a lot of hip hop and stuff too, and guitar's not important. You know, it's all about, yeah. I mean, in my new band, like I'm always looking for ways to not play it, you know, it's just about drums and bass and everything else. And that's kind of where I was trying to go with Quiet Company. And that's why it was hard because we have 3 guitarists, you know, and people like to play their instrument.
Yeah, of course.
But yeah, so it's, to me, it was like that drums are just so important. And I think I am hard on drummers in the sense of like, I want their part to be really interesting and maybe I do push them to be creative and to not kind of like fall into the same things or something. But also, you know, they have to be able to perform well, and
right.
Rhythm section is just so important, man. Like, it's like, even if people who don't know anything about music, they might not be able to articulate why something didn't feel good. If it was a rhythm section issue, they feel it though.
Yep, they sure do.
And you feel it at the merch table.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, they might not know that your bass player missed a note. They felt it, and they didn't think you were that good, and that's why. Even if they don't know, that's why.
Yeah.
And you know, we've had a few bass players. We've had a lot of drummers, and you know, for the most part, we've had really good musicians in the band.
Yeah.
You know? But we've also had really good musicians that were really inconsistent players, and that would be like an issue. And yeah, so I'm hard on people. Yeah. You know, but you know, oh well.
I remember watching you guys one night with What was it? Some show where you guys were giving away cereal? Was that a thing that happened? That a thing? Was there
Popcorn,
some?
maybe?
No.
Was it
Was
the
there
ND?
cereal? No, it was Empire.
Okay.
There was some kind of cereal thing.
I can't remember.
Maybe
doing a
Matt
cereal
was the
thing.
bass player at the time, Parmenter.
Sure. Yeah.
But I remember watching you guys with him and both of us just commenting on. You have so. Just real quick, I can't even look at you when I say this because it's going to make us weird.
Okay. Okay.
You have so many of the attributes that you need to be great. Like you have them. Like you're a great singer. You're a great fucking musician.
It is weird. Stop looking
You're
at me.
a great songwriter. And on top of that, just a really electrifying performer.
Oh, thanks, man.
Yeah. So I mean, that's not going to go away.
No.
All that stuff's going to be there, but people have an attachment to your band.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm really nervous that, like, it's, people don't care about, the next band that,
Right.
what I mean? Like, they got
Yeah.
to know you with this band, and I'm trying to think of an example.
No one's running around talking about the Plastic Ono band.
Right.
No offense, but that's a great fucking record.
Right.
But
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Didn't change anybody's life.
Yeah.
Except maybe Sean Lennon, but yeah, I worry about that.
There's-
The thing that's coming to my mind right now is, Jay Robbins, I can't remember what was his, I always mix these bands up, Jawbreaker or Jawbox, one of his bands, and I think it was Jawbreaker. And, then he did Burning Airlines, and to me, Burning Airlines, coolest band, because that's the first thing I heard.
right.
But a lot of people don't really care about Burning Airlines because it's not,
Right.
the first thing. And, even less people know about Channels, which is his band now, so it's just like, and it's all great because it's all him,
Yeah.
and it all sounds like him, and it's
Yeah.
all great.
Yeah.
But so I'm worried about that, if I'm being honest, But luckily, like, I'm not popular enough for it to really matter.
I understand what you mean in like the guy that invented Johnson & Johnson baby powder, but then left the Johnson & Johnson and like started putting just baby powder in a can on the thing. And they're like, that's not a real guy. I'm just making him up in my mind. Okay. And he's like, no, but I'm the guy that invented the baby powder. And they're like, I like the Johnson & Johnson. That's my brand.
Oh, sure,
you know?
yeah.
You know what I mean? You're like, no, but I'm the guy. I made that powder.
Yeah.
But and I understand it takes a band too, and that's a band. But like that's what I was getting at, is that you have all of those things within you, and I think that you're kind of what Connor Oberst, like,
Sure.
whatever. Nothing,
No, I'm not
nothing
saying sure,
against
like,
the
I think
contribution
that's-
of your other bandmates in the band. But I think when you go on as Taylor Muse, that's the guy from Quiet Company. Oh, he was Quiet Company. Maybe
Yeah. I mean, I have a new project called French Hips.
Right, not Taylor Muse.
And what's funny about that in a way is, like, Quiet Company put out a record called On Corners and Shapes, the EP. It was actually really supposed to be like my solo project. As I kind of recorded it in that time where it's like, we didn't really know what was going to happen with the band. And the people that were in the band at the time were kind of like, I don't know about these songs. They're all heavy and weird. And I was like, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like, that's where we need to go.
Yeah.
And people weren't really into it. And so I was like, that's fine. I'm just going to go record them myself, And so that record there's not anybody else in Quiet Company on that record. It's me and Kevin Butler, who recorded it and played drums, and his wife Neve, who plays all the strings and all that stuff.
Yeah, that's your band.
That's French Hips.
Yeah.
And those are with the exception of Tomas,
Right.
who is, playing bass for that, who's also playing bass for Quiet Company now. But yeah, we were kind of talking about, like, yeah, I mean, we've already really put out one record. It just says Quiet Company on it, but it's On Corners and Shapes. Like, that's 3/4 of French Hips made that whole record. And no one else from Quiet Company is on that record. And that's not necessarily what French Hips is probably going to sound like, but
No, but what you sent me is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
that one.
It's great.
Oh, thanks. That's unfinished. So that's
I won't
we're not
play it for anyone.
but yeah, that's first. We kind of wanted to record something, so they actually Kevin and Neve just had a baby, and so like they were about like, well, we're not going to be able to like do anything for a minute, so let's try to get a song done before we go away, you know, because we've been working on a handful of songs, and so yeah, we're trying to get it out before the December show, so hopefully we'll hit that goal. But I'm excited about it. I think the production is going to be really great. I think
Is Kevin producing, or are you guys doing it together?
well, he's engineering.
Okay.
I'm producing it, but we're kind of allowing ourselves to kind of do anything we've always wanted to do, but it might have been too weird for other people who were paying.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So we're hopefully, you know, gonna make it all dirty and trashy and all Dave Friedman-y and all that stuff. But
Is that one of your guys, or is that your main guy?
Dave Friedman?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's probably my favorite producer of all time.
Really?
Yeah.
Because of like the Flaming Lips and stuff.
Yeah.
I didn't mean that like because of Flaming Lips, but I wanted to work with
yeah,
them.
Soft Bulletin was the first record that I heard where I was like, who produced this? And then another record that I'd always referenced for drums was Weezer's Pinkerton. And then turns out he engineered those drums.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because they were also obsessed with like the Flaming Lips records, and apparently were telling their guy like, "Hey, can you make it just sound like this guy?" And he's like, "Let's just call that guy,
Yeah.
and get him to do this."
Right.
And so he did. But you know, he's like, you know, Mercury Rev and you know all this stuff. But the record that I obsess over the most these days from him is this OK Go record of The Blue Color of the Sky. Have you heard this record?
No, I only know the Pete guys on the treadmill song.
Yeah, that's
Sorry.
the record before.
Okay.
So I just think this record is start to finish just one of the most brilliant things. And their production idea was, I've listened to them talk about it, because everything's distorted on this record. And they were like, yeah, we wanted it to feel like your speakers were breaking no matter what volume you were putting it at. Like, everything is dirty, everything is distorted, and it's amazing. I
That's
just think it's
awesome.
the coolest sounding record. I really think OK Go, it's one of the best living bands. And I feel like because
Really?
I think because their videos get so much notoriety, and it's because they are very creative and they're
Yeah.
king of the videos.
Yeah.
I think that really overshadows like that they also write the best songs.
Wow, I should really start
Like,
listening to them.
yeah. So those last two records, especially The Blue Color of the Sky and Hungry Ghost, I think Dave Friedman did both of those, and they're both really different. And what's funny is like Of the Blue Color of the Sky is like very Prince influenced, and I am kind of famously not a fan of Prince.
Right.
So everyone I talk about this record is like, dude, this sounds like Prince. I'm like, I know, I get it, but it's not Prince.
What
It's
about Prince? Is
something-
it that gets you, or that just you just don't get it?
It just, I mean, I
or
think
like you get it, but it just doesn't get.
I mean,
you.
I love Party Man, you know, like from the Batman soundtrack.
Oh yeah.
But I don't
You
know.
even
it's
like Little Red
just-
Corvette or anything.
Yeah, it's just not. I mean, there is probably like, I really do like Prince influenced things. I don't know what it is. Like Janelle Monáe, like
Sure.
all of her stuff, I love. You know, and I know it's very Prince influenced. It's
Yeah.
to the point where I'm like, I should really try to
You don't
change
have to
this
like
about
stuff
myself.
like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but I was like, so many of the things that I love are very influenced by Prince. I've just never really like reacted to it. You know, like, I don't know why.
Yeah.
I know that I'm the weird one here and everyone else
No,
is
no,
seeing
no.
something that I'm not seeing, but it's just like, yeah, I don't get it.
You know what might happen to you?
What?
You know what happened to me with Steely Dan?
What?
Years of the finger.
Yeah.
Like fuck those guys outside of my relationship with Skunk Baxter, who played guitar with them for a while. I liked him, but I didn't like them, and I
Yeah.
thought they were like these fucking like science majors that
Yeah.
ended up learning how to play instruments. And I was like, their
Rush or
music is
something.
like spend too much time making sure everything's in tune and in time. And then I had to learn their songs just a few, like 5-6 years ago from Skyrocket. I had to learn a couple of songs for sure. And I was so like, oh God, Ricky, don't lose that number. I don't want to do that. And so I'm learning these songs. And then I'm like listening to the lyrics and I'm like, wow, this is really like subversive.
Yeah?
Kinda like from the streets.
Oh,
And like there are these
little more
tales
edge
of like
than you
these
thought?
weird, like seedy, like nighttime people in the shadows, and you're just like, whoa, this is awesome. And then you start listening to it and you're like, fuck, they are really good.
yeah.
Like that's a really good, whoever it is that's playing on the record at the time.
Sure.
They're just, those guys knew how to make records and they're cool as shit.
I probably know. Yeah, I'm thinking about it. I don't know anything about Steely Dan. I've never listened to Steely Dan. I think most of my opinion of them is based off their name is Steely Dan, and that has a certain connotation to me.
Do you know what it is?
No. What is it?
They're one of the great bands named after some kind of sex toy.
Oh,
A Steely Dan was the name of a dildo that they saw in the back of a dirty magazine. They're like, oh, that'll be the name of our band. It's great now, right?
Yeah,
like, dude,
it is
that
cooler.
Awesome.
dude, you're a fan of the Toadies, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, yeah, love the Toadies.
Yeah.
They are, in terms of like, bands that you look up to and meeting your heroes and stuff like that. They have been the coolest to us of all the big bands that we've met and known and loved. Toadies are our heroes. Like they've been so cool to us over the years, and I love that band. Like I love those records. I'm a big fan of their second record, Hell Below Stars, or Stars Above Hell Below. But there's a song on there called Heal. Do you know the song? Okay. So I just thought this song was about some like dark, like S&M type sexual like thing. It's because the lyrics are all like, I will teach you some discipline. Yes, you will learn some respect. And like
Is it about his dog or something?
it's about his dog. And when I learned that, I was like, I wish I didn't know that. It was so much cooler when I thought it was about some weird sex shit. And now when you listen to the lyrics, you're like, yeah, that's clearly about a dog.
Yeah.
It's very literally about a dog in your relationship, your normal relationship that you would have with a dog. Like, and his wife told me that.
That's
and I was
awesome.
just like, she was like, yeah, he's got a few songs about his dog. I'm like, oh, don't tell me which other ones are, because like, I don't want to sing. I love my dog.
Yeah.
I don't want to sing songs about him.
I can't remember what the third one is, but there's the song Jet on Band on the Run?
Yeah.
That's about his dog.
No way.
Martha
My Dear is. Yeah.
It's Martha, my dear's son from her.
Oh, yeah.
From her lineage.
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Martha, My Dear is one of my favorite.
Beautiful songs. Yeah.
And so I made the caveat in my brain for that song about a dog is okay.
Right.
But yeah, when I heard that, I was just like, oh man, that just really took the edge out of that song because it's so aggressive and badass. And I was like, I wish I didn't know it was about his dog. I thought it was about some weird goth sex stuff, Like,
yeah.
Oh, well.
Those guys are, that guy. I played a Halloween show the other night and somebody actually played Possum Kingdom.
Oh, yeah?
And it was the first time I'd heard that song in a long time.
Yeah, song
and you know
rules.
what I realized? That song's too hard for guys to just throw together and play at a Halloween thing.
Dude,
that song
yeah.
is real hard.
Yeah. The Toadies.
There's two guys that learned it and two guys that didn't. And there
Yeah.
was like, the singer was like, tell these guys, but there's nothing you either get it or you don't. That's a hard song.
I feel like the Toadies are a lot like the Pixies in a way where it's like you might it might seem like it's simple, but it is not, man. Like there's you can't just be them, only they are them.
Yeah.
And there's a lot more nuance and weird shit in those arrangements and stuff than people realize until you start sitting down trying to learn them.
You know Anor?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not well. I've met him.
We
Actually ran into him at the Bubble not too long ago.
Oh, really?
Because we practiced down at Scott's.
Oh, nice.
Sometimes, yeah.
That's where I was all day yesterday.
Yeah.
Sometimes Rosie goes.
Nice.
She loves it.
Yeah.
She loved it. We were opening for them we were opening a few shows for them when that song was crossing the
Possum Kingdom?
yeah when it was crossing into
so when it was becoming huge.
yeah, and they were still, I remember this, they were still playing it third in their set.
Yeah.
And I remember by the last night that the run that we had played with them, we were in Corpus Christi. I remember that because we had taken ecstasy after the show, and I had to teach Todd how to use a Ving card. That's because he couldn't figure out how to get into his room. I remember I got it to work and he just flew into his room and shut the door.
Nice. Was he on X2?
but-
Or was...
Yeah, he
Or
was.
just- or just-
I hope I'm not outing him or anything. But he
yeah.
was.
Well, I hope not too.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a grown man, you know. I'm sure he's
Yeah.
experimenting with drugs.
So I remember the last night of it before they played it, and I remember us going like, "Well, why wouldn't you just wait till the end to play the song?" But he was
Yeah.
like, "If anyone leaves out this song, you're a dick." They started playing it, and sure enough, there's a bunch of like radio people,
Yeah.
you know, people that just heard the song, and they're like, "Well, fuck, they played it third, and
Yeah,
you want to
I'm
stick
done.
around? You want to go see this?"
Yeah, that sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was actually pushing. We were talking about, you know, our set for this this farewell show coming up, and so I was like, I want to go in. I don't want to blow up my spot here. I kind of had this idea where I would come out and do like the solo version of something, and then we would all crash into "You, Me, and the Boatman," which is like our biggest. song.
yeah.
And they're like, "We're gonna do that second?" And
Yeah.
me, I'm just kind of like, yeah, I'm fucking sick of playing the song. I want to get it out of the way.
Yeah.
Like, it's, you know, I just want to be kind of done with it, you know. But like, I don't know if that's what will actually happen now. You know, we've talked about a few different things.
I feel like that was my first. That album was my first real introduction. The first time we ever met and talked
Yeah.
was at some place having wings, like in the afternoon.
I was telling somebody that story the other day about how I was like, I'm really bad at knowing what press is worthwhile to do, and like, I used to be just so
You're like, meet me at the wings place.
Yeah, I was like,
my lunch
I was like,
break.
I gotta eat lunch, so I might as well do a podcast. So I'm,
Yeah.
That's why I'm not. A lot of things explain why I probably am not more successful than I am. But I was just like, I guess I'll go do a podcast. You know, I'll just. Because you do so many interviews, you know, where you're like, nobody cares about me.
I think I only had like
the person.
17 episodes or something then.
I think you were a little bit further along than that.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, because I remember when I told somebody, they were like, "Oh, you don't know who Johnny Gotti is? Like, he's a big deal in town." You know, like it was
The
kind of
Mark
like
Maron of
people were.
Austin.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I just remember like when I listened to that podcast after we'd done it, I was like, that was such a bad idea. Because every time you ask me a question, I have to like lick all the stuff off my fingers before I could answer it.
That's why it was definitely very early on. 'cause
Amateur hour,
There was
yeah.
yours, and the one that I did with Mike McCarthy, he asked me if I'd bring him some nuts. And I was at Target, and I got him a big thing of nuts. And the whole podcast is just like, oh,
Yeah,
I remember people writing,
Terrible
like,
idea.
no food in the
Yeah,
podcast
it's
anymore.
a bad idea.
Well, I was going to restaurants and eating with people. Andrew
Yeah.
Schapner, the late great photographer,
Yeah.
and I went and we did it at. I go back and listen to him now. I'm like, Tim
Yeah.
Palmer. I did his at like
Oh, no
fucking
shit.
gyms at like 9 in the morning.
It's a terrible idea, man. It's just
Yeah.
like I'll never do it again. I apologize that I made us do it that time, but like
No, I was into it at that point. I thought it was a cool thing to do.
I really liked Weirdos. They did 50 Cent Wing Days on Wednesday. You know, I was like, I'm not gonna give up my 50 Cent Wing Day.
I wish I
to do some
had
press,
our correspondence during that time because I think you were like, oh, dude, I go there. They have 50 Cent wings
Yeah.
that day. And I was
Every
like-
Wednesday, man.
Like knowing your music, I was like, that is not what I
It doesn't
expected
track.
this dude to be like.
I'm passionate about wings, man.
Tell you about my wing place.
Yeah, and Weirdos was the best. Like
Yeah.
that place was really awesome, and we were there every Wednesday, like right as they opened. Me and my buddy John, and they kind of looked like they resented us every time because like they're like, we're not quite ready to eat. And we're like,
Right.
you said 11, you're open, man. We want some wings at 11. You know. Yeah, I'm pretty passionate about the chicken wing.
Yeah.
but
That's funny. Hey, let me ask you a couple things just real quick.
yeah.
What in this quiet company, what will you miss
Man,
the most?
I'm glad you asked. Because I was thinking, I was like, man, we should actually talk about
Oh, I'm coming
the
to
actual band. Yeah.
Oh, dude, I've become very what's her name? Barbara Walters in
Katie
my.
Court.
Does Katie Couric make people cry? No.
I feel like she made Sarah
Palin.
Palin.
I was going to say that.
Maybe not on camera, but definitely after.
She did make her cry. No, this can't happen after. I don't care if you cry afterwards.
Yeah. No, I'll get it right here. See if I can work it out.
No, seriously, like, what do you...
Man, I mean, I guess the short answer is, all the people, and not just like the guys in the band,
Right,
but you know, like like Quiet Company's been pretty blessed to have, you know, a lot of people that we kind of consider like super fans, you know? And as much that you hope that they care about the next thing you do, because what you did before meant so much to them.
Right.
But I also kind of realistic about that. I know it's not going to unless I do something else that's really meaningful.
It all just depends.
Yeah,
you know,
it's just as much about where they're at in their life.
Yeah.
When you come into contact with each other as it is about what you did.
Yeah.
And so there's no predicting it.
Yeah.
You know, like all I can do and all I plan to do is to continue to write uncomfortably honest rock music.
Yeah.
You know, and just to keep trying to tell the truth as I see it, and also to try to make interesting records, you know, sonically and creatively.
That's what Quiet Company was about.
Yeah, that's what it's always been about. So it is that thing where it's like, you know, a bird in the hand, where it's like, I know I can go to a Quiet Company show and we can play these songs that are like time tested, and I know what kind of reaction I'm going to get, and I know how edifying it's probably going to be, you know, to feel like it matters to people. So I definitely will miss that.
Yeah.
You know, the thought of like getting on stage and playing, you know, the Easy Confidence for maybe the last time is like, it's pretty intense for me.
Yeah.
Because, you know, your songs they're a little bit like your children.
Yeah.
You know, like you birth them, you raise them up, you know, you send them out into the world and hope they do well, and you celebrate them.
Yeah.
You know, when they do. And then some of them you're just ashamed of.
Yeah.
And they bring great shame on your family.
Yeah.
You know, so I will miss that. I don't know if that's what I'll miss the most, or if it's getting on stage with Tommy and Bill and, you know, Jeff and Tomas and
your gang.
You know, yeah. I mean, you know, in the Beatles anthology, they talk about how they always kind of viewed themselves as like war buddies.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And it's like you feel like you kind of really been through some shit together, you know?
Yeah.
It's like you were saying earlier, like we spent a lot of time in a van together, man.
Yeah.
You know, especially me and Tommy. Like Tommy is the only person that's been in the band with me the whole time.
Right.
So, you know, I met him in 2015, you know, and we played our first show in 2016, you know, the record was out. It was a solo project initially. And, you know, like I'd been playing in bands and stuff at that point. And, you know, when I met Tommy, like I was kind of I'd been in this band called The Connotations. And, you know, I think the Connotation stuff was good. There's a lot of Connotation songs that ended up on the first Quiet Company record. But we were all friends, you know, and then we started a band and it had gone badly. Like, we're all cool now, and we got together and re-recorded some stuff a few years ago. But like, that breakup was actually kind of nasty for a bit, you know. And I had it in my mind. It was like, I don't want to start another band with friends. Like, I just want people that just want to play music to come together for that goal, and then we'll become friends, hopefully, you know. But the power dynamic, the arrangement, that will already be understood.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So that's initially how Quiet Company kind of started. You know, it's like I put out a Craigslist ad. Most of the guys in my band have come through Craigslist. And we've had very few people have come through like, oh, I know a guy.
Right.
You know, kind of only recently have we done that in these last like few years, where it's like, I don't want to put out an ad. We know a bunch of people. Let's just ask who we'd like it to be.
Yeah.
But yeah, Tommy, you know, just answered a freaking Craigslist ad, you know, and now he's been one of my best friends for 17 years.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like, and we've, we're financially tied together. We are, we've been through marriages and divorces and been around to see each other have kids and start businesses and change jobs and, so it's like, you just, even outside just the context of like, we've also made a lot of music that most of which I'm very proud of.
Yeah.
Should
be.
Just outside of that, it's like, we've been through some shit, we've been together a long time. We've always called each other like, oh, this is my hetero life mate.
Yeah.
Tom. So these last like few years, one of the things that kind of sucks about just getting older and whatever, it's like your band is kind of like your social life.
Yeah.
It's like the only time you see your friends is band practice, and then, so it's like, I worry that when the band is over, like, when am I going to see that guy?
Right.
It's like, he lives in South Austin. I live in Cedar Park. We both have kids and partners and jobs, and I'm starting 2 other bands, and he's got his own company now that he's doing. And so it's just like, it's going to be different. You have to actually make an effort to stay connected. You can't rely on the band to keep you connected. Bill is the guy that's been in it the next longest, and one of the most talented dudes I've ever met, but he and I are in a new cover band together.
Oh yeah. What's the name of that band?
The Things Were Better Thens.
Okay. The Things Were Better Thens.
Yeah. So it's nostalgic based, but yeah.
Oh, you were playing a Pavement song. What I saw on the thing.
I saw you followed us today.
What else are you doing?
We are kind of trying to figure out what our
Are you trying to make money
thing is going to be. Yeah, we'd like to make some money at some point. Some point soon. That's what we always kind of thought, like, we should just do some covers, man, and maybe we could make a little cash from time to time, So it's kind of, it's right now it's a little too all over the place. I think we need to kind of figure out what our shtick is going to be. 'Cause it's like everything from like Echo and the Bunnymen to like Hum, and Pavement and, stuff like that. But, so it's kind of all over the
Out
place.
there.
Tears for Fears and...
Oh, what Tears for Fears?
Oh, yeah. Everybody Wants to Be Alone.
Oh, that's not an easy one.
No, especially because that shit is not in tune on the recording. It's not at 440.
It's not. Also, I don't think isn't there a thing on YouTube, because I think I saw that a few years ago, or maybe during the pandemic, when I was like, okay, I'm gonna learn that song now. Yeah, finally.
That's one of my earliest like favorite songs, like from when I was a kid,
What a
mainly
great
because of
song.
Real Genius.
Oh, really? That's
Yeah.
what.
Yeah, I'm starting to wonder if like maybe our shtick should be like soundtrack songs. Like has to be in a cool movie.
I'll tell you. I'm in a cover band.
Yeah. I was actually going to kind of pick your brain
When
about
we
this.
started out, it was very specific. It was like, in fact, we were called the K-Tel Hit Machine, and we played songs specifically from this one K-Tel album.
Oh, okay.
And then it kind of like started. And then we got asked to play a party, and someone paid us to play, and we were like, whoa.
Yeah.
And then, so what it was 70s music.
Yeah.
And then like, eventually like, like, people are like, hey, can you play like a Madonna song? And you're like, oh, is he playing a Madonna song? Yeah, I like Madonna.
If you pay us to.
And then it's like, oh, should we do 80s? Because then we're taking our... But eventually you do come out. But I do think being very specific when you come out.
Yeah.
Just to sort of like, oh, that band is that.
Yeah.
And then when you do the private parties, whatever.
Right. So me and my buddy Nate, who's also in Ramvell and Easy Targets, we kind of like conceived this thing one day. We were out watching some other cover bands and stuff, and we were like, we should just do this, man. Like, it'd be fun, it'd be easy, because like everyone in the band is like super profesh and just comes in like really prepared.
Oh, that's good. That's the main thing that's hard to sort of like get the group
it's like everyone
together.
does their homework and kind of so but like the other night we went out and it's like Halloween weekend, and me and Nate went and saw some other cover bands play up in at Hanover's and Pflugerville, but the next night me and my partner went and saw our buddy Zach's in this Queen tribute band, Magnifico.
Oh yeah, with Adam Sultan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, I've seen them
I think it's
several
fucking
times.
great.
Yeah. It was actually at one of their shows that me and Nate were like, we should do something,
Yeah.
But, we went and saw the bands in Pflugerville, and they were good, but they were both the cover bands were kind of all over the place. And, there's not very many people there. And I think they said that generally it's a lot better than this. Mm-hmm. But then we went downtown for the Queen tribute, and also there was a Blondie tribute before that.
Oh.
Yeah. Platinum Blondie. It was Leslie Sissons was the front person for it. Just packed and so fun. And obviously Zach is like an awesome performer and leads that thing. And it made me go like, we need to tighten this up. We need to figure out like what our thing is.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I don't want to be like a tribute band like that narrow.
Right.
But, it probably should be a little bit more like people know what they're getting when they kind of do this. But.
Right. That's, there's a thing that really put us on the map. Mm-hmm. Like outside of the fact that at the time that we kind of started playing together, we were all individually very well known.
Yeah.
And the fact that all of us were together in one band was like, what?
Yeah.
Are these people? Wait, they're playing 70s? Wait.
Yeah.
What? You know what I mean?
That's a little bit like this.
Yeah.
Like everyone in the band so far is from some other better project.
Yeah. So at one point we had done some wedding where we were hanging out with the Tosca Quartet.
Oh, yeah, the quartet.
Did the procession, and we did the reception. Mm. And it was all like at Zilker Clubhouse or something. We were all hanging out afterwards, and they were like, is there something we can all do together? And we were like, ELO. And so we did it.
That's awesome.
It was really hard.
Yeah, I bet.
It was really, really hard. Yeah. And we had to hire people to like write charts. It was all, we got extra people in our band, not just Tosca. Yeah. And the rehearsals were like murder. And once you learn all those songs, they're really similar. You don't think they are, but when you get inside of them, you're like, what song is this? Even in the middle of the song.
Oh,
like,
really?
Is this Sweet Talking Woman? Or wait, what song is this?
Yeah.
So,
we were covering Don't Bring Me Down for a little while.
That's a good song, man.
Yeah.
So anyway, long story short, we did these shows and we got in the news because it was like, wow, Jesus, these people are undertaking this thing. We sold out.
That's awesome.
A couple of nights at Antone's, and
there's been a couple of like clearly not as extravagant as that, but a couple of ELO tributes in town.
Right, Olay. I think one of a friend of mine is in that band.
Okay, yeah. I've never seen him.
I've never seen him either.
Yeah.
That's a hard thing. I mean, even
it's
like even ELO.
Yeah, I bet
isn't doing it.
Yeah,
like you think they should.
Yeah,
nothing against Jeff Lynne, but that's just a lot of. It's an orchestra.
Yeah, I mean, you basically have an orchestra all the time. Yeah, it's cool. I'm glad. Yeah, glad it's out there.
Yeah, but so anyway, so in my ideas of that, also like if you want to play private parties. Play music that people want to dance to.
Yeah. See, that's
the tough part.
These are the two like arguments that we're kind of like.
Yeah.
We have a couple guys in the band that are like, I think we should be more niche, and that's what kind of like sets us apart. Like we're not playing the hits, we're playing like kind of more like obscure like rock from that. Like, but I'm like, but then only guys just like us are kind of the target market.
And they're not millionaires paying you $50,000 to come play their backyard.
And there's just not that many of us, and we're all aging and, having families and stuff like that. We're not a reliable demographic to look at for a paycheck, right? So if that's what you're hoping to achieve, that's probably not. And then, my buddy Joe is playing with us right now, and like, and he's just like, dude, girls need to want to dance when we play. Like, if that's not happening, I don't see this like being that cool, So those are we're trying to figure out, what our thing will be. I just wanted to get with some buddies that I knew could play real well and just get in a room and play that REM song I like, or whatever, So
you're not going to be. Living on my roots, showed up in boots, ruin your black tie affair.
I would 300% cover that.
You should see the crowd react to that shit.
Oh, I've covered it, and
Yeah,
it's always good.
It's pretty fucking insane.
Because he is a goddamn national treasure.
I know.
Yeah.
I missed it. I missed it. Like when we were learning this song for this party the other
Really?
day, I was like,
you missed it when it happened in the 90s?
Why are we playing this weird song that people that I don't really like?
What's funny is like me and my girlfriend, one of our first like arguments, like not a real argument, but like she just did not accept that Garth Brooks was the cultural icon that I was making him out to be.
Oh.
And I was just like, she was like, this must have been, because she just missed it, you know,
Yeah.
like whatever bubble she was in, it just was not part of.
Yeah.
And like, which is fine. And like she was like, you know, she was up in Massachusetts for a lot of it and stuff. And so she was like, oh, this must have been just like a Texas thing and a South thing. And I'm like, but it wasn't though,
Yeah.
because that dude holds the record for like the biggest Central Park concerts of all time.
Also, he can fill up Wembley Stadium and
Anywhere
everybody
he goes.
sings every
Like,
word to that song.
Yeah, there's not a place on earth
Yeah.
where there are people
Yeah.
that Garth Brooks can't go and have the biggest thing ever. Like he's one of the top, you might know, like top.
I don't know. He was so famous.
I think it was like Michael Jackson, the Beatles were kind of the only people like above him or something. I
Maybe.
remember it was like shockingly,
Yeah.
Popular. You know, and I was just a kid in the 90s in Texas. So it's like,
Yeah.
of course I knew all about
Yeah,
Garth Brooks. But like after that argument, she surprised me with a shirt that just says, I've got friends in low places, like real big on it.
Oh, that's nice.
So yeah. But
Oh,
yeah.
yeah. He was so famous, he had to become Chris Gaines so he could do something else.
Yeah. Apparently there was supposed to be a movie with it. And
There was supposed to be, there was supposed to be a lot
they
of
just
stuff.
nixed
Yeah.
the movie. We're like, I'll just put out the record. I'm like, that was a terrible idea.
I remember there was this time when I had a record deal and I went to dinner with like some dude, a label dude, our A&R guy, and somebody else. And I had dyed black hair and it was real short at the time. And I had one of those Flavor Saver guys.
Oh, wow.
And I'm sitting at the table and every time the waitress would come, we were like, and so then this tour is going to be like this. And it was obvious that these guys were like business guys.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I was like the dude.
She's like,
and so she finally, like the last time
fucking
she
Chris
goes,
Gaines over
she goes, man, I'm sorry. Every time I walk up, you guys are like, who are you? And my A&R guy goes, Chris Gaines. Just like she had no idea we were talking about, but everybody's like laughing.
look it up. Look him up.
Yeah. It was just starting to be a thing.
That's really funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was on, that guy's famous. Anyway, you know what, man? Also, the thing is when you say that we're aging and all that stuff, our band started 20 years ago. We're like 70s and 80s music was this nostalgic thing.
Right.
And now, here's where we're at with our audience, okay? Mm-hmm. We're sharing a New Year's Eve show with the Suffers in Houston.
Oh, yeah.
Except we play 7 to 9. Mm-hmm. They turn the house, and then the Suffers do 10 to 1 in the morning.
Wow.
Because we're going to try out, see if they'll make it early. Because we kind of feel like an early bird special is good for our crowd.
Yeah.
Which is sad.
Yeah. Dude,
Next, we're going to be playing Del Boca Vista.
yeah. Man, I don't like it. I don't like it.
I don't know, man. The cover band thing is a weird thing because it really, it fills your pocketbooks if that's something you need to do.
Yeah, honestly, I just kind of, with the economy the way it is and stuff, and I don't have a lot of upward mobility at my day job, so it's just kind of like, and Quiet Company, as always, paid a little bit, even when it's
not like a cover band.
Yeah, so it's like, but with that going away, I just kind of thought like, I should probably do something that I can make a little money on. Maybe I'll try. I've always just played with this idea, and friends that I haven't got to play with, like this will be a good chance just to kind of hang out and do some fun songs together. And what's really cool is it's a bunch of lead singers, so I don't have to sing the whole time. So it's trading off like
You've never seen
pretty
us?
equally.
That's what our thing is.
I've never got to see Skyrock.
That's
no.
what our thing is.
Yeah.
And also like the person that sounds most like the person sings the song. Like,
That's
so there's
kinda,
like a real, like a very, like you got to learn your parts. You got to.
I have already felt the sting of like, we were doing My Iron Lung by Radiohead. And Joe was like, I'll sing this one. I can do a pretty good Tom. And I was like, I feel like I can do a good Tom.
Oh yeah.
But I was like, you know what? Like we're inevitably going to do another Radiohead song. You know, like, who cares? This song is actually pretty hard to, like, for me to sing and play the guitar part because it's so all over the place. So I was like, take it, man. You know, I'll get Karma Police or whatever we do next, you know. But yeah.
I would love to play a Radiohead song.
Yeah, man. It's fun. It's real fun.
We've talked about it.
Yeah.
But Creep is like the only thing we could do.
Oh.
That would our audience would
that your audience would care about.
What happened? Dude, I mean, like Lips Like Sugar.
Yeah.
Which you think is like, oh, dude, they're going to freak out when we play this.
Mm-hmm. Nope. No good.
No, once you hit that mainstream sort of like Bee Gees, ABBA thing, it's like, Dancing Queen! Please! Yeah. The regular stuff we want to hear. And I don't mean anything disparaging against the lovely people that have supported me for the last 20 years, but
you know your audience. Now.
You
know, and they don't give the people what they want.
We've even done stuff where, like, my band opened for Skyrocket one time. Yeah. Bad move. Yeah. Then there was a time we did a show at Mucky Duck in Houston. They were like, oh, why don't we each do one of our own songs in the thing?
Nope. No. That's not what they came for.
No, it's not.
Well, we always had the thought, like, the reason we've thrown this idea around for so long, like, at Quiet Company used to have this conversation all the time where we would just say, like, dude, we just need to have 20 or so cover songs ready to go. And because we'd get asked to do things, like, especially around like 2012, 2013, when we were kind of like at our biggest time, we'd put out, you know, We're All Where We Belong, and that was doing well. And so South by would inevitably roll around, and all these like big companies would have their big ritzy parties, you know, and they'd go, oh, well, we need a band because it's South by. And the truth is, no, you don't. Like, nobody's there to see a band at your industry party. That everyone's just kind of there to schmooze with their boss and get some free drinks and whatever. You're way better served with a DJ because no one really cares to hear a band. And if they're going to hear a band, they certainly don't want to hear some emo punk band like get up there and sing songs about divorce and how God is dead. We're the worst band for to have. Yeah. But I think these people that were booking the shows, they would just kind of, they'd go, okay, well, we need a cool Austin band who does well. Right. Well, Quiet Company does well. Right. So have them at our cool party. I'm like never thinking like, well,
what do they do?
How do they do well in what they do? Yeah. Like what? So we would get up there and because the money was too good, we couldn't say no to it because it was like we'd take two interactive parties at South by, and that would like finance us for like 2 months. Yeah. So we'd take it and then we'd get up there and it would be like the most soul crushing thing because you're just being ignored and you feel like you're encroaching on them. Until we play that ELO song. Yeah. And then everyone would be like, oh, yeah, cool. And you get a little bit of crowd interaction, or we would cover like El Scorcho by Weezer or something like that. Like, and people would come up and we would always say like, it was a little bit like Harry Potter, you know, like the Dementors that suck your soul and your joy out. Yeah. But your cover song is like your Patronus that just keeps it at bay. Yeah. You know, and as long as they're not ignoring. If they ignore the ELO song, I don't care. Exactly. That's not my song.
Exactly right. They're not pissing on your divorce. No. Or your broken heart or
exactly. Anything. But when you're singing your heart out to like be just completely ignored by everyone in the room, that stings. You know, like that sucks. So we were all like, we just need to have a bunch of cover songs ready for sets like that to where it's like, at least we don't have to get our hearts broken. Yeah. We can go get the money and we don't have to have our hearts broken. We can play a wedding from time to time or whatever, you know, if we wanted to.
And it's fun.
Yeah.
It can, I mean, if you're in it with your friends, like the 7 of us are friends. Like we were all friends and this band started like, hey friends, let's go do this thing at Hole in the Wall for fun. And then I saw them and I was like, hey friends, why don't you let me come in? I've got this Rhodes and I could play 70s music. Yeah. And so.
Do you take this with you every time?
No, I took it to the first 2 gigs. Okay. I was like, what the fuck is this?
That's a hassle, man.
Yeah, no, now I have a whole like computer like situation. Yeah. So I got to do horns and synths. I turned into a fucking band. And we became, we branched into the 90s because we got offered this, remember that show Community?
Oh yeah, I love Community.
At South by Southwest, they had a party, Yahoo had a party because they had gotten them from NBC or something.
Oh, right, yeah.
And they were putting out the new season on there. And so they were going to do one of those, what's that guy's podcast?
Harmontown.
They were doing a live Harmontown.
Oh, wow.
All the people were there, and then
Yeah.
we were playing afterwards. It's pretty awesome.
That is cool.
We shared a trailer.
That's
It's
really
pretty.
cool.
It was really rad.
Yeah. I really love Community.
And they asked us to learn those 90s songs, and we did. We still play some of them. And then we just started playing some, like, we'd be like, hey, what about this?
Yeah,
Just like the 90s, you realize wasn't a real good time musically. Like, it wasn't like the 70s or the 80s, like
not,
party
man.
time. It was like,
and
it was a drag.
It's totally my formative years.
Yeah, me too.
And like,
yeah.
I made my son a podcast, or I made him a playlist.
Yeah.
Because I looked up just all the records that came out the year that I was his age.
Right.
And kind of like what it all was. And it's just kind of like, man, we were some self-loathing motherfuckers.
yeah.
And I still am. And so it's like, now it's not hard to see why anything is. But yeah, it's like the first song on there is like Loser by Beck.
Yeah,
you know, and Basket Case by Green Day that came out the same year. You know, it's just like, it's all
There's
this
no
stuff.
self-empowerment in the
No.
90s.
We sucked and we knew it and we were celebrating it.
No one was proud of themselves for anything.
no.
You couldn't be.
Yeah, you couldn't be. I get really. I think in my as I get older, I get more appreciative of the '80s. I was born in '82, so like I wasn't really super conscious of music. You know, for most of the '80s. You know, I was a tiny child. You know, like I think the first time I like recognized like, oh, I like this. It was like Phil Collins, you know, Another Day in Paradise or something like that. And then Mike and the Mechanics, which was one of my earliest favorite songs, was that All I Need Is a Miracle of Mike and the Mechanics, which the rest of that record is not good. But I found it in a used bin at a pawn shop one time. And it was not good. But yeah, so it's like the 90s when I was like aware, you know, and as much as I still love so many of those records, like they don't hold up the way I think other decades do. Like there's some amazing stuff there for sure. But like, I think a lot of the stuff that we loved then has become a little bit of a punchline now.
Yeah. I wasn't, I'm telling you, I was so, like in the 90s, I was so not where everybody else was.
Yeah.
Like I was just freaking out on my friends' 4-track recordings and like, and all the British stuff.
Yeah.
Like that's really, I mean, because when you look at the 90s, like Jesus, man, Suede, Pulp, Radiohead, fucking Blur, Oasis.
Yeah. All that shit's great. Swerve Driver. Yeah. All the Britpop, stuff. Have you watched that? This Is Pop on Netflix?
No, I saw that it was on there. Is it good?
Oh, it's great.
Yeah.
Every episode is about a different thing. Mm-hmm. The Britpop episode is really fun. Obviously it gets to a point where it just kind of starts focusing on Blur versus Oasis.
Yeah.
But I lived in East Texas and we didn't have MTV.
Yeah.
So it's like we had, my brother actually bought, and eventually gave me, Blur's Greatest Hits, the one with the four faces on it. Yeah, so good.
So that's like Coffee and TV and stuff on it, right? It's after that record came out.
And then it has, and then he bought What's the Story, Morning Glory, which you and I have talked about before, how much we love that record and how the rest of their catalog doesn't really hold up after that.
No.
I've actually turned around a little bit on that since last time we spoke, because after I watched that documentary, it made me go I need to really absorb more Oasis and Blur. Yeah. And so I did, and I got, actually like the record after that, I forget what it's called. It's not very good.
Standing on the Shoulders of Giants? No.
No, I think that's like two records.
The one with...
it's one with all the helicopters.
Yeah. All my people right here, right now.
Yeah.
Know what I mean? Where they sound like a band trying to sound like Oasis.
Yeah. And even they know that, they don't like that record either.
That's the cool thing about Blur is that they, like each record is its own, it's almost
thing.
like a new band.
Yeah, for sure. And, but yeah, the later Oasis ones, I was like, oh, this is good shit here. Yeah. Like they kind of found themselves again, I think a little bit more on these other ones. But, What's the Story is clearly the masterpiece, right?
Yeah.
Sounds like shit, but Has that
to me,
90s
it's
sheen on it.
I have that weird. It has, to me, it sounds like a bunch of people on cocaine tried to make an album. Like nobody was not on coke. Like it's just like, hey, wasn't somebody here like, hey man, we could probably, like, I'm sure dudes were like, hey, can you turn up the high end just on everything? I don't hear it anymore because the cocaine.
I've never done cocaine. I don't know. Is that what it does?
Apparently,
does it dull the
if you go
high
back
end?
to yes, I've talked to a couple of people. Tim Palmer, I talked to about it.
Yeah.
I talked to Nancy Wilson from Heart about it.
Okay.
And I've talked to guys like Mark Hallman, my mentor, like how like what happened? Why is everything so like?
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, because the first
Oh, the
thing to
coke?
go with the coke is like the high end of your
That's
hearing.
interesting. I never knew that.
The more coke you do, you just
Yeah.
kind of like, well, because you get stopped up, and then your ears get stopped up, and the one
Yeah.
thing you start losing is your fucking high
Yeah.
end.
I've never done coke. I've always been
That's pretty awesome.
terrified of it.
But now, like, why would you do it? Like, what are you going to get in a bad mood and stay up too long and be uncomfortable, and then
I've
try and
always
find
kinda-
a guy to get you more?
Dude, I've always kind of had the well, two things. Like Chuck Klosterman has a really good. I forget what book it's in. Maybe Sex, Drugs, and Cocoa Puffs or something like that. But he
I
kind
love
of was
that
talking
book.
about how, was it that one where he's talking about how certain bands are associated with certain drugs, and Interpol he associates with coke.
No, it might be the book after that.
Like Eating the Dinosaur or something like that.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, in that essay or whatever, he was talking about his time, where he's like, the first time I did coke, it was Interpol. And the thing about coke is that once you start doing coke, you just have to realize that you're going to spend the rest of your night looking for more coke.
Oh, it's so terrible.
And that doesn't sound like fun
No,
to
it's
me.
not.
But it's that thing too, where it's like, oh, well, obviously it's probably really fun or people wouldn't do it. So, but that, and I've always kind of had the, Alan Alda from Little Miss Sunshine,
Yeah.
approach where he gets kicked out of his nursing home for like being high on coke all the time. And they're like, what a great example you're setting for the teenage, son. But he's like, no, at his age, you're an idiot to do this. At my age, you're an idiot not to. And I just kind of always thought, I was like, yeah, totally. Like when I get to be 80, why wouldn't I be fucking high all the time? What else are you doing?
Yeah.
That's my plan. So I'm saving it.
Save
I'm
it.
saving myself
Do it for when you can actually have a heart attack the first time you ever try
Exactly.
it. That's
Yeah.
the best time. Man, we've really covered a lot of stuff. We really went off on some stuff there,
Yeah.
but that's okay.
Yeah, that's cool.
I hope people are still listening.
Yeah, who knows?
Yeah, they are. Farewell show, December 3rd, Mohawk. There was another thing I was going to ask you. What are you most proud of before you go? With Quiet Company.
Quiet Company.
Yeah. What are you most proud of your accomplishments with that band?
I mean, artistically, I think our record, We Are All Where We Belong, is, I have a lot of regrets about it in terms of production and stuff. But in terms of like my songwriting and like what that record like means to people, because it's, the concept record about losing faith and stuff. And that's the record that has it. Everyone has lyrics tattooed all over them and stuff. And
Yeah.
so I think that record really did matter and will continue to like, live in that world. And I'm really proud of it. Sometimes when I go back and listen to it, like everyone else, I kind of cringe at like, I wish we'd done this differently with the recording, or wish we'd had a different, drummer or whatever, but like wish we'd like recorded things differently or whatever. But in terms of like the lyrics and, melodically and stuff, I'm still really, really proud of that record. Creatively, the last few EPs that we've done, on Corners and Shapes and Your Husband the Ghost, I feel like those feel the best, in terms of like, that's the best representation, I think, of like what I actually love musically and do musically. but yeah, we've done a lot of cool shit, man. I feel like 20 years in, it's like, it's hard to say, you know, what the coolest moments were, or what I'm most proud of. I think with the records, it's easier to say what I'm proud of, but like, you know, I have a lot to be like grateful for.
Yeah.
I feel like I spent a lot of the last 17 years being really frustrated, you know, and just kind of going like, why doesn't this work? Why isn't this easier? Why aren't there more people here? Why isn't this selling? Why didn't we make more money here? Why didn't we get that sponsorship? Why didn't we get that placement? You know, like, and just, you know, I tend to, I have a real hard time not dwelling in that negative space, because I'm a depressed person. But I'm trying real hard going into the end of this to not do that, you know, to actually think more about like, man, I've made 4 full-length records and, you know, a handful of EPs. Since 2009, we put out a record a year, some kind of release a year, one a year, up until last year. It was the first year we didn't, which kind of broke my heart. So I always wanted to be prolific, and I was, you know,
Well, you are.
Will continue to be. I got to make a lot of records that I'm more or less proud of, with dudes that were really fun to be with, that I genuinely love. And I got to travel the country. I get to see, I've been to pretty much every state now, you know, like I've seen, you know, you don't always get to spend cool time. You see it and you move on to the next venue and sleep on the next floor or whatever. But I've been there, you know, I've been there. I've been all around this country. I've been into Canada with this band. We got to tour Germany and Slovakia and, you know, Netherlands, and I got to see all of that. That was the most fun I ever had was that tour. But yeah, all this stuff, you know, that I never would have got to see or do or experience. You know, like not everyone knows what it feels like to stand on a stage and see, you know, several hundred people scream back the lyrics that you wrote about yourself. You know, and nothing feels better than that.
Nothing feels better than that.
You know,
because when you're sitting there alone and you're exercising those demons, you know, and you're writing these songs, it's not for anything at that moment. Yeah. Especially like your songs, Jesus, you know, I mean, obviously when Poison wrote Ain't Nothing But a Good Time and Looking for Nothing But a Good Time, they were probably thinking about trying to make their audience. Yeah. But you know, your songs, these are things that people don't really say out loud. Yeah. Normal people don't say them out loud.
Not chronic overshares.
But also like that's why people have tattooed this. So, but the thing is like all that stuff's in you. It's going to continue to keep on going.
Yeah.
And you made art that was worthy of being sung back to somebody.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I want to believe that is true, and I in my more healthy days I do.
Yeah.
I'm gonna really miss it. And, you know, I'm not saying that like it's impossible that we won't, you know, at some point get back together and do something else. I just think right now that's, you know, the future is in flux, and I need to kind of step away and do something different for a minute. And, you know, if we get back to it someday, great. And if we don't, you know, it won't be because we stopped making music. It'll be because we were making so much other music somewhere else. Yeah. You know, because
that's exactly right.
What the fuck else would I be doing?
Yeah.
You know?
Also remember, no one would have ever thought that the drummer from Nirvana would have outsold Nirvana.
Oh yeah.
So just, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So, Farewell show December 3rd, Mohawk with the Rocket Boys. And who's the other guy? Sorry, I didn't write that down.
Oh, Ramvella and the Easy Targets.
Ramvella and the Easy Targets. Old friends. Go to quietcompanymusic.com. You can probably get tickets at going to the Mohawk or whatever.
Yeah, quietcompanymusic.com. We'll have the link on, the show dates and stuff, but also the Mohawk site. Also, not for nothing, please follow my new band on Instagram, French Hips.
French Hips.
Yeah.
On Instagram.
At French Hips. No spaces.
No spaces.
Yeah. So that'll be fun. There's not a whole lot there yet because,
it's just starting out. Isn't that
we
weird?
haven't made anything.
Yeah.
It's so
But
weird.
it's fun to have a blank slate, isn't it?
I don't know. I think it feels more daunting than anything else because I'm just kind of like, it's like, why would I post on this? No one's going to see it. You know what I mean? Like, building that, especially when we haven't played a show yet and we haven't put a release out yet. I'm kind of just waiting. I'm like I'm trying not to like put pressure on myself about it yet until it's like, once we have something to actually show for ourselves, it'll be a lot easier to justify the effort, I think.
French Hips, you can find them on Instagram. Quiet Company, you can find them wherever. Maybe I'll see you on December 3rd at the Mohawk. Oh, yeah. I'll be there.
Yeah. You better be, man.
You better be. It's going to be the last time.
Yeah. I feel bad because it's against the black fret ball. It's the same night, which I didn't know when I booked it. So,
dude, there's nothing in this town. You can't do shit
I know.
in this
You're
town.
You're going to play against something else great. I know. That's what I told myself when I was like, God damn it.
Yeah.
When I realized that's what it was. And I know we're going to lose, a few people that I really would like to see.
Yeah.
That won't be able to be there. But like,
oh well.
Oh well.
Hey, I didn't realize it was the same night as Black Football.
You already said it. You said it on this, so you have to be there now.
No, I'm just joking. I'll definitely go, man. I want to say goodbye to your band. And I'd love to see the Rocket Boys again. I haven't seen them in a long time.
Yeah, man.
Love those guys.
That would be really fun. It'll be interesting to see how bad they are now.
All right, Taylor. I'm looking forward to seeing what you do with French Hips.
Thanks, man.
All right. That was Taylor Muse, gang. Get out there. Check out Quiet Company's farewell show this Saturday, December 3rd at Mohawk with the Rocket Boys. Go to quietcompanymusic.com for all of your Quiet Company needs. If you don't really know Quiet Company, man, they are just an amazing band. Amazing. I think I might go and drop the From the Vault from episode 20 from the first time Taylor was on. I want to thank him for always coming on the show, always thinking of me when he's doing this promo. And also, I'm glad that I didn't realize he was blowing me off when we went to that wing place, huh? I would have been really pissed off if I knew that. Too bad I'm dumb. All right, hey, check out Quiet Company, their farewell show. They've done a great job. I want to thank Taylor for all of his music, that band, all of their contributions to this beautiful music scene. Glad to be related to them, part of that Austin music family. Gang, when you're out there checking out quietcompanymusic.com, don't forget that you can subscribe to this podcast and get a new show every Tuesday and every Friday, and also a bunch of From the Vault episodes. I'm dropping them, baby, usually on Saturday nights. Check your feed. Actually, if you start following us or subscribe, you'll get a notification whenever we drop a new show. So do that. Do that. It means a lot. Leave us some stars. Let us know how we're doing. Follow us on Instagram. Follow me on Instagram, at Johnny Gowdy. On Twitter, at Johnny Gowdy. On Facebook, we are How Did I Get Here? All right? Have a great weekend, or a great rest of the week, whatever you're doing. Goodbye, Quiet Company. Thank you for your service. Have a great week. Let's get down.
It's you and me. Our love is bigger than most everything. It's stretched out further than our eyes could see. You gave your heart to me complete. What it looks like to be in love, but even the boatman knows it's so, but he still has to do his job. I know it's tough. I know it's tough. I know it's tough. I know it sucks. Love, won't you stay with me?